The sights and sounds of this day 2 of the war in Europe. Those sirens heard frequently in Kyiv as Russian forces move closer to the capital city.
New video this afternoon showing Ukrainian soldiers on the streets near the capital as those sirens blared. And more new video into the CBS 4 newsroom this afternoon showing the damage done to an apartment building following a rocket attack overnight. Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv might soon fall to Russian forces, which are quickly advancing. And now the calls are even stronger for sanctions against Russia and its president, Vladimir Putin. CBS 4's Natalie Brand is live in Washington, D.C. with the latest. Natalie?
And Maribel, Candace, yesterday President Biden said that sanctions against the Russian president himself were still on the table. That comes as lawmakers here on Capitol Hill and Ukraine's president are asking for much greater economic consequences against Russia, and Ukraine also asking for more help.
Ukrainian soldiers were seen running through the streets of Kyiv as Russian forces entered the outskirts of the capital city. The defense ministry urged citizens to take shelter and prepare Molotov cocktails and take up arms to defend their city. Ukrainian officials say they downed Russian aircraft. But President Volodymyr Zelensky says attacks are targeting civilian buildings and says his country is left alone to defend itself. President Biden held a virtual meeting with NATO leaders Friday morning, a day after announcing severe sanctions targeting Russian banks, oligarchs, and their families, as well as high-tech exports.
Western allies have also imposed their own sanctions, but there are bipartisan calls on Capitol Hill to go much farther.
We need people in London. We need the British government to step up with more targeted sanctions against Russian billionaires in their city.
I'd love to see Russia kicked out of the SWIFT transaction system.
President Biden says European allies are not yet ready to kick Russia out of the international banking system known as SWIFT that allows for money transfers around the globe. They also did not target Russia's energy sector, which is the largest driver of its economy.
Since we haven't hit that, I think that Vladimir Putin right now sees weakness on the part of the West.
A sentiment echoed by Ukraine's president, who says the response so far has not stopped Russia's invasion, which now threatens the country's capital.
And Ukraine's foreign minister tweeted a couple hours ago that he had another call with U.S. Secretary of State Blinken. He says on the need to use U.S. influence on some European countries, hesitant European countries, in order to ban Russia from SWIFT, that international banking system. He says he also discussed the further supply of defensive weapons to Ukraine. I have reached out to both Florida senators' offices to see what kind of additional action they would like to see. Yesterday, Senator Rick Scott put out a statement saying the U.S. must issue devastating sanctions that cripple the Russian oligarchy. But again, we're still waiting to hear back from their offices about what exactly they'd like to see. I'll send it back to you.
Natalie Brand, thank you so much for that live report.